These are the Halliday G2s, and the reason to pay attention aren't the screen that are inside, the speakers that it has, or even that they're AI glasses. It's what happens when a meeting starts. Because most of us don't lose time in the meeting, we lose time after the meeting. We're trying to remember what we agreed to, the to-do lists, and all the little key points we needed to take away for that project that we're working on. Special thanks to Halliday for sponsoring today's video. Links to these glasses will be in the description down below, and we will try to get you all a discount code. So, big picture here. Why should you care? Halliday has made the G2 glasses, which put a tiny little display, monochrome green color, right in your line of sight on normal light looking glasses. There's no camera here and the frames are a pretty classic look. The core system that these are sort of built around here is what Halliday is calling meeting flow. And it's sort of a different perspective from the way these sorts of glasses usually work. And that's why I was excited to review these specifically. I've reviewed others in this space, and the angle that Halliday is taking here is really interesting for those of us who are in meetings all day and need to remember things that maybe when we're daydreaming in a meeting, or maybe someone's talking to us in a meeting and something's happening over here, that we just need to be able to pull all that together, have an extra set of ears and smart intelligence built in that can summarize that, create lists for us, things like that we just wouldn't be able to do on our own. And there's a bit more functionality built into these as well. They have speakers, you can listen to music, you can take phone calls, all off your glasses. So as always, let's dive into the form. Let's start with how they feel, because if these are uncomfortable, it doesn't matter how great they are, you're never gonna wear them. I have found them to be incredibly light. They are made of plastic, which helps keeps them light. They have sort of a classic frame here. You have minimal branding. You've got the little puzzle piece logo here from Halliday. It doesn't look like you have like science fiction goggles bolted on your face. They do look like normal glasses. I'd say a big one here is there is no camera. So if you're used to something like the Meta Ray-Bans or something like that, you're not gonna be taking videos and pictures with these. But that also helps with how comfortable everyone else is in a meeting, right? There's no camera filming them. They're pretty discreet glasses. And even out in public, like people aren't gonna be super aware that you're filming them or something because there's no camera. So the room stays pretty relaxed. I think the real kicker here is, especially in meetings, the display floats in front of you. It's really wild when you first put these on to see a display floating a little bit further than arm's distance from you. But that's the idea. You stay in the moment. Your eyes can remain somewhat in eye contact while you're reading things, seeing summaries in real time. You're not looking at your phone, your computer, you're not even really taking notes. You can be fully present. You can sit back and listen and see information displayed right in front of you. They're meant to be worn all day, right? You can get your prescription put into these. So instead of a gadget that you turn on and off and put in a drawer when you're not using it, these stay with you at all times. And it's a very easy thing, especially if you do wear glasses already. One small detail I want to mention about the build quality, or the build here, is there's a button right here that actually sleeps and wakes it. Others in the market, you either have to do the look up or raise to wake or whatever, which these have built in, but I can also just tap this button and then see my dashboard, tap it again, the dashboard's gone, which I just think this type of technology needs that. I actually have the raise to see off because of accidental looks, or you've been back to stretch and you might not want to see things. Just having the button is really nice. Other than that, over here you have an input section, so you can swipe forward and back, and then you can tap to select, which is really nice. And there's double taps and things like that too, which is really nice. Let's move into the function here. So picture a normal meeting, decisions are getting made fast, someone's half typing notes, someone's updating a document, and everyone's a little checked out because they're all busy trying to capture the meeting instead of being in the meeting. And that's the problem that meeting flow goes after. It works during the conversation while the decision is still forming, not after everyone's already moved on and you're trying to hastily take notes on what was decided. Now there are two different summaries here that you can pick from. One is called quick summary. So picture this, you're in a meeting, you sort of glance out the window, you see something weird happening, you sort of forget about the conversation that's going on, but then someone turns to you and says, hey, what are your thoughts on that? And you're like, oh. Instead of being like, sorry, could you repeat that? You can actually pull up a quick summary of the last few minutes, see what was said, and then come up with your answer right there on the spot. The other one is just regular summary, which is everything that was discussed. Halfway through a meeting, you can see everything that was decided so far, or post-meeting, you can see everything bottled up quite nicely. Then there's also quick research. So say someone drops like a fact or a figure, or maybe someone's trying to figure out that fact or figure. Sometimes there's like a quick Google search or we'll Google it later, but here the context can surface right in front of you. So you can keep talking, find that piece of information and move on. And of course, well, I guess I shouldn't say of course, it's not guaranteed, but these can also transcribe conversations, especially if someone is speaking in a different language. It can translate that for you in real time. So language barriers can be cut here. Here's another thing. Picture you're in a meeting and you decide on something, everyone sort of remembers it in different ways. A feature called decision confirmation flags something that was decided upon, and it flags that while you're still in the room. So then you can say, hey, just so everyone's on the same page, did we decide X, Y, Z? And these bring up that decision for you to read those aloud to the room. Another one that's pretty cool is a commitment check. So a lot of times in meetings, I come from this world, I'm aware of it. Someone says, hey, let's circle back on this next week. There's no person in charge of that. There's no solid, what are we circling back on next week? There's no date, and because of that, there's really no chance that it happens, or it keeps getting pushed off. The commitment check flags that something was not completed in the meeting. So at the end of the meeting, you can say, hey, remember we wanted to come back to this next week. Who wants to be in charge of that? Should we set it for next week, or do we need a couple more days? And so instead of this vague circle back, you have an actual thing that you're going to come back to. Who's responsible for that? And then there's thread tracker, which, as you know, in meetings, you can go on different tangents and things. This sort of gives a summary of like, where's our thread? Where did we start from? What do we need to come back to? What was undecided? And what do we need to lock down? And then there's closing the loop. At the end of the meeting, you'll see things that need to be done. There's an open item tracker, which really just surfaces all of the things that weren't resolved, right? So the things I've sort of been mentioning, it lays it out really nicely for you. And so I think that's sort of the big value here, is this isn't just a summary of the meeting after it happens. This is something that's happening in real time and creating these lists and reminders and open item trackers. So at the end of the meeting, everyone's still in the room. You can say, hey, what did we decide on this? Hey, who's going to be responsible for this? By the way, remember, 2 of you are handling this by next week. John, you're going to be doing this before next week. So it can all happen in the meeting. There's no loose ends, basically, which I think that's a very powerful tool in a meeting setting. It also cuts down on future meetings and allows you to be more efficient and productive and proactive before things get out of hand or people lose sight of things. So that's sort of the whole meeting setup. But you can also listen to music with these. You can take phone calls with these. There's a cheat sheet section, which on the app you can add in a few little items that you need to remember later, or maybe a tiny little grocery list, and you can just have access to those right on the glasses whenever you need them. So there's a lot of functionality built into these glasses, and it's clear that Halliday has thought through what would be most helpful with this technology in a meeting setting. And then outside of that, there's a lot of personal use and just quality of life here that Halliday has thought of as well. So who's it for? I think it's very clear who it's sort of made for and positioned for: those in meetings, those in conversations, those that need to take things that were discussed, bring them back, and act upon them. Honestly, I think it's a great tool for leaders. I've sort of played this out for you all throughout the video, but someone to sit down at the end of the meeting and say, this wasn't discussed. Hey, what are we gonna do about this? Hey, who's responsible for this? And it can position you as a leader because you're taking this step forward to really be proactive with your team, to assign things, remind people of things, and that's something that just helps with overall efficiency when it comes to a business setting. So I think obviously these glasses are for someone like that, but honestly too, I think they're nice. The price point is really nice compared to the competition, and I think if you've been interested in something like this with a heads-up futuristic display, with microphones built in to take phone calls, with speakers built in to listen to music on the go, and take phone calls. There's just a lot of functionality here, and you can learn more again at the links in the description. Thanks again to Halliday for sponsoring today's video. On this channel, we talk about tech and products that marry form and function. We like tech that improves our lives and looks good while doing so. Me and my team are also starting a print publication called Form and Function, where every quarter we interview a handful of founders of companies making beautiful products that beautifully marry form and function. So you can find out more about that in the link down in the description as well. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing, like this video for more like it, watch that video next. I think you're gonna love it, and we'll see you all in the next one.